Hello, good afternoon. How are all you doing today? Let's see, I've got that stuff set up. I can pause you, back to you, and I think we're good to go here. So time for our afternoon stream. If I remember correctly, this morning we finished reviewing our bulk inserts with UNNEST, and we need to record a video for it. So the plan is we're going to go through UNNEST, what that is. We're going to use it in PSQL to do the insert, and then we're going to do the same exact thing in the SQL code. So if I have VS Code open here, so right, this should be all ready to go. And then in queries, we have bulk insert using transactions. So then next out will be, let's do bulk insert. We'll do that. And then, okay, we'll add you down there. Excellent. Let's create a save point. Actually, no, there's no save point. This is a temporary thing. We're good to go. All right. With that, let's move you off to the side there. Enable our timer. And okay. We are gonna be getting into recording for this. Let's see, where do I want to put my tea? Over there. It's still too hot. All right. Cat's off. Twitch alerts off. Main cam desktop. Okay, so we're good to go. So with that, let's record a video. Yeah, I think I got everything. Okay. Hello, in this lesson, we're going to be talking about another way of bulk inserting a lot of things, or at least several things, into a Postgres database using SQLx at the same exact time. And this is another Postgres trick that we can do outside of SQLx. It's really just a normal thing that we can do inside of PSQL, for example. And it's called the UNNEST function. So let's connect into a database quickly and sort of like go over what UNNEST is. So do we have Docker running? I do have Postgres running. Okay, so we're gonna do a Docker exec straight into the database here, and let's take a look at what UNNEST is. So UNNEST will basically break out an array into its own table. So if we can essentially do a select from this table that's going to be created from UNNEST. So I'm going to select star from, we're going to do UNNEST, so two N's there. And then this takes any number of arrays that we want it to be, and then each array is going to be essentially a column in this temporary table. So arrays, especially if we just build them ourselves here, we have to, well, use the array method, and then we can just say one. I need to make sure I don't accidentally hit return at the same time. Let's try that again. One and two. And I need to use a comma. And there we go. Okay, so that's like a single table. We can use two arrays here just by adding in a second array. So this would be essentially 3, 4. And there we go. We can do as many of those as we want together. So we can use this as part of a single insert statement. Let's go ahead and reset our games table. So I'm going to do delete from games and just delete all of those. And let's do an insert into that using UNNEST. So we're going to say insert into games. We want name and platform. And then we're going to do a select star. So notice I don't do values or anything like that. We're just going straight into a select statement. Select star from UNNEST. And then we put in our arrays. So array. And then we know we need another one, right? So array. And all right, so we're putting in game names. Well, we've just been doing Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3. Let's just continue with that. So we'll have Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3. And then for our platform, we'll have Steam and Steam. If these arrays aren't the same size, it'll fill out whatever is not there with a null. In the case of the platform, nullable is okay, so I could just leave this one off and it would be fine. I'm not going to for this case. We run that, it inserts both of them all in one action, which also means it's all part of one transaction in the database too. We can now take a look at table games. And there they are. They're both in here. Great. Let's go ahead and let's switch over and do this exact same thing in the Rust code. So I have over here in the main, we have two games that we're going to create. These are the same games that we've been working with so far. So Starfield, Baldur's Gate 3. And we've put them into a vector. So I want to basically pass this vector in and then have it build using UNNEST the query. We'll head over to queries and we'll add in a pub async function bulk insert with UNNEST. All right, well, we definitely know we need the pool and we need games, which is going to be a vec of game. And let's go ahead and we'll return a result with a vec of game. Okay, so first things first, we need those separate arrays. Well, in this case, vectors of each of the different things. So we need essentially a vector of the names and a vector of the platforms. So we'll start with name. So names is going to be equal to, so we have games dot name. Actually, so it's games dot, well, that's a vector, right? So let's get an iter. I don't need to make this iter mute. I don't want to take ownership of this because I want to update the games later with the IDs. So iter, we're going to then map off of this. This gives us a game. It's a reference to a game. So I want to return game.name. And we're going to collect this into a vec of, so if I do a string like that, I think we're going to have to clone this. Otherwise, we're taking ownership of it. Okay. Let's also just go ahead and return an OK games at the end to make it happy. All right, so we have the names. Next up, we need the platforms. Game set iter. Now, I suppose I could probably put them into like, grab them out separately. I'm just going to, together in one time with like the map, and maybe we like create some kind of tuple or something else. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to do them separate here to make it easier to sort of see what we're working with. So iter, we're going to map. We have a game, and I want to turn the game dot platform, and let's clone that. And we are going to collect this into a vec. Now these are options, so it's going to be an option with a string inside. Okay, and that works, no problem. Okay, so we have the two vectors. Now it's time for us to actually do the thing. So let's now we're gonna get the IDs back, but it's really it's sort of like these results back. So let's get the results equals, we're gonna do SQLx. We can use the normal query since an anonymous return is gonna be fine here. The actual query itself is gonna be that same insert that we did in PSQL. So insert into games. We want to get the name and the platform. Instead of that, we're not going to use a values. We're going to use select star from UNNEST. And then inside of UNNEST, we put in the arrays. Now, the arrays here aren't going to be like array like that. It's going to be essentially $1 and $2. Semicolon. Oh, let's also return the IDs for this. So returning ID. And we need to pass in the names and platforms. We want to get multiple things back. So we're going to, what is it? It's not exec. I want to, what's the method? It's just look at the previous ones. It's fetch one. So in this case, we want to fetch all. Fetch all, which is I'm not getting any help at, which is a little bit concerning. So let's see, that results, SQLx query, we run that. Fetch all, we await, and question mark you. And I did Vim. All right, it's unhappy with us because it doesn't know. Error returned from database, PG catalog unnest unknown. So notice that this unnest unknown, it doesn't know what these are. Now the Rust compiler knows what these are because it knows that they're a vector of strings, but it doesn't, it's not perfect. We have to tell them what these are. So we can basically say, okay, you're going to be text and an array. And this is the notation in SQL to basically assign a manual type here. So we're promising that you are going to be a text and expected a reference. Okay, so you want to be a reference. So a reference, and you need to be a reference? No, you need to be something else. You need to be expected a reference to string. Oh, but you got this option string here. We know that they're here. So let's go platforms. We can unwrap this. We know we have the right amount of them, so we could do an unwrap. We could do. Will let us get away with just a clone in here? No, of course not. I think we're gonna have to unwrap or default. Which will get us that string or something else, or it'll get the string or an empty string. What are you upset about? No method name, unwrap or default found for struct. Oh, because it's a vec of option. Okay. So you need to be actual string here. I don't think you want us to be in options here. Let's go ahead and unwrap our option, unwrap or default here. So we'll unwrap or default here. So that way it's an empty string or it's a an option there. Okay, we'll collect you, and so you're no longer an option. And in that case, you don't need that there anymore. And now it can just be the platforms. Perfect. Okay, so we have the two texts coming in. We have our results. Okay, so now the fetch all works. We have pool await. Okay, great. So we have now a vector of records. I want to take the IDs from this. And what are you upset about? Oh, cannot move out. Let's we'll just go ahead and put a clone in here. And that'll make you happy. And then let's loop through the results. We'll get the IDs out of them and then put them in each game. We know that there should be the exact same number of results as there are games. So we can just, we'll get the ID, we'll get the index of each one we're looking at and then put them in the appropriate game here. So we'll do for result and it's actually records. Let's change this to records. So for record, in records. Now I want to get an iterator of this, and I want to enumerate it. So that way I can get the index here. So let's add in the index and then the record. And then let's see. We're going to get into each of the game. And we're going to stuff in this record here. So we can say we want games of index.id is going to be equal to record.id. But it's going to be a sum ID, isn't it? Because the ID here is an option. Sum record.id. And then that's pretty much it here. We're done, and then we return the games out. To verify that this worked, we're going to go back into main. Let's call the query, and then we'll shadow games. So that games equals, we're going to do queries, bulk insert with UNNEST, pass it a reference to the pool, and pass it the games. And, we do have to await. So we're going to await, and we'll expect. So this would be an error bulk inserting games. Okay, that makes you happy. And we should be ready to run this. Let's go ahead and create a new shell here. And we can do a cargo run. And there we go. Okay, so we have Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3 added in, and we've got IDs added to them. So there we go. We have a bulk inserted using UNNEST. So which one do I like more? Transaction or our UNNEST? I don't know. I go back and forth on that a lot. I think that there's niceties in both of them. I don't know exactly which one's fastest. But both have a good and negatives to it. So it will be just tools that we have in our tool belt. Anyways, I hope that this is helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Hey. Easy game, easy life. Hello. Sorry, I started recording it right before you joined in. Let me go ahead and turn these all back on. And we'll turn off the timer. But how are you doing, Easy Game, Easy Life? Uncle Scientist, hello. How are you doing? How's the library coming along? Dottie, hello. Thank you for the not Vim. It's been 5 times now that we've done Vim commands instead of VS Code. So that's fun. Kukma, hello. You have a for loop before instead of UNNEST. In each iteration, you inserted 1 row. What happened with this solution? No, I think I had it before. Here we can take a look at the what we wrote in this morning. We have the for loop afterwards. So we do the UNNEST insert here, and then we do the for loop to get the IDs out from the insert that we did with UNNEST. Does that make sense, or is it or am I missing something? And it was something else. Katang Tango. I am sorry about that name mispronunciation, but hello. How are you doing today? Rust looks so beautiful. I do like Rust, but I'm biased at this point, so it's hard for me to know whether or not that's just me liking Rust or if I'm just too invested in it now. We've got a late Zerker today. Yes, we do. Oh, Uncle Scientist, I don't know if you heard my news, but I went to part-time at my day job. So I now have time to do morning and afternoon streams. So I get the 2 different audiences. Although there are plenty of overlap, as many of you were here this morning too. Have a good rest of the day. Oh, you just joined. Wait. Was that from this morning? Got it. Dottie, that's a really good, okay, that's a good point. The transaction loop. Yeah, let's go take a look at that. I still have VS Code open, and that's where we have that code in here. So the transaction here does use a for loop for this. Oh, I just stopped recording. I thought you were having a really short stream. That would have been that would be hilarious to log in and do like a 5-minute stream. Like, okay, we did one thing. All right, bye. See ya. I'm done for the day. Maybe I'll do that someday as like a joke. I have done that once or twice in the past, but it wasn't on purpose. It was on accident. That was because I was oh, that was a long time ago. I was recording videos for YouTube offline, and at the time I had thought that it would be a good idea to put the recording button on my stream deck next to the go live button. And being dyslexic, I hit the go live button several times, and didn't notice at all until like I'm like, okay, and I'm done. And then I like saw some chat and was like, huh, why is there chat? Why are you just like hanging out, just chatting to nobody for no reason in my stream? And then I was like, oh, right, I was live. More time setting up and shutting down than streaming. Yeah. I feel like half an hour is also going to be one of those like, okay, we chat more than we like even touch code. Okay, so who was it? It was Kukma. Okay, so Kukma, you were asking about this. I think you also started streaming just when I'm going back to bed. Oh, yeah. That would have been. I don't remember that at all, but I'm sure I did that. All right, so Kukma and everybody else who sort of like missed or like sort of was thinking about the transaction one and the difference between the transaction based bulk insert and the UNNEST bulk insert. With transactions, it's more code, as you can see, like it's more lines of code that we have to work with, but we don't have to break out everything into multiple vectors. So it's I'm going back and forth on like which one I like more. This one I think feels a little bit easier to sort of like wrap your head around of what's going on. So we're starting a transaction here. And if you're unfamiliar with a transaction in a database, it's basically, from what I understand, it's like you're temporarily updating things in the database. So you're saying like, okay, in memory, or here's what's going to go, here's what's going to happen, and then when you commit it, it then makes it real on disk. So we're beginning the transaction, and then we start doing it. And then that's the for loop. So in the for loop, we just insert one at a time, and then we're done. Like, okay, we're good. Commit it, or roll back the changes and don't commit it. Is it potentially less work for a database in case of some error with for loop? No, it's going to be the same amount of work in the case of an error, because like, let's say we have 1,000 items for bulk insert with transaction and 1,000 items with UNNEST. Automatically behind the scenes, it creates a transaction for every statement we do. So it's a single, like this one, think of it like as a transaction. It loops over these things, does the insert, and then commits the transaction unless there's an error, in which case it rollbacks for us without us saying it. This one, we have to manually say begin the transaction and end the transaction. That's like the really big difference here. Which means I can do more than insert in this. I can insert, I can delete, I can update, I can do all sorts of things all in one transaction and then commit at the very end. Whereas down here, we're just doing a single thing. Yeah, we can upsert, for example. Like that's actually a really good way, is you could do an upsert all in a single transaction. If 500 of the 1,000 elements fails, heck, it doesn't matter. If one of the 1,000 elements fail, after the first one fails, it will cancel running and call the rollback function in Postgres, and nothing will have happened. It's as if you didn't run it at all. Dottie, have you contested or considered, I suppose, a mentorship style format for Rust as part of your tutorials? You always hit the same roadblocks and convince us due to not thinking in the Rust way. That's one of the reasons why, for me, the live course is the way for me to go for like the primary way. So I'm thinking, at least for like something like SQLx, it will be more of like maybe a workshop type thing, like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 days, or however long it takes for people to work through it. And we'll have like a scenario, we'll work through it, and I'll have time to sort of like jump in with everybody and say like, hey, how's it going? How are you doing? Like, what are you stuck on? And we can do some code reviews. It can be part of the group, and so like in that way, that's sort of like group mentorship style as opposed to like one-on-ones. I I could do one-on-one mentorship type things. I've considered that in the past. Hey, Zilby's here. Cat. So that's a consideration. Hey, Zilby wants the box today. Uh, so yeah, that could work. Is like, okay, yeah, you're having a little bit of trouble. Here, let's jump onto a call really quickly. Here's like some standard rates or something else like that, and it'll just be like one-on-one for an hour, and we'll just chat about things. Thank you, Kata Tango. I don't know. I might have done that name right. Yeah, Zilby is super, super cute. Do you like the computer? Kata is the name. Okay, I'll try to remember that. Oh, Kataango is a reference to a movie. I do not know that movie. The Hungarian movie. That would be why I don't know the movie. It's an 8-hour long movie. That is a long movie. Okay, Kukma. Back to your thing. You were saying Postgres will spend more CPU time. I don't know if Postgres would spend more CPU time with one more than the other method. Because at the first error, it's going to essentially do a rollback. And with this version, I catch any errors that happen, I break out of the loop so I don't do any more commands, and then I call rollback on it. So either way, it's going to roll back as soon as possible. So I'm not sure if there's going to be, I don't know which one is going to do more memory, and I don't know which one is going to do more CPU. And I have some theories as to which one is going to be faster, but I have no evidence. And I don't know like a proper ways to test this to like give it a fair assessment. Stacking, hello. How's your day going? Stacking, you mentioned that you're going to maybe investigate or like put onto to-do list to look into UNNEST as one of your bulk insert methods. Did you end up trying it out? Oh, I should rename that file before I forget. You are SQLx SQLx bulk. Wow, I don't know how to type on this keyboard apparently. Insert UNNEST. There you go. Sorry you were wishing to wife. Well, happy anniversary to you. Um, yeah, the question was were you able to or did you experiment with UNNEST at your job? Because I know you have a ton of data that you were doing inserts on, and you had only used transactions, I think. There's a couple other ways to do. Okay, you need to add it to your to-do list. So there's the copy, but I don't know if copy is really all that like helpful for most people when it's doing like bulk inserts. Although if you have a CSV file, probably the easiest way because you just insert from a CSV file essentially with copy. Um, Prepared transactions might be the fastest, mostly because the documentation did say that besides copy, prepared transactions are the fastest way to do bulk inserts. And it might also be the safest because you can check mark the transactions, which is also interesting. Okay, so we can use SQLx to set up and manage our database tables, as well as use it for queries. All right, so by the end of this lesson, you will be able to probably describe what a migration is, describe what a seed is, using transactions, especially in bulk, if they are optional, they speed up the insert quite a lot. 7,000 records took 0.1 seconds instead of 35 seconds using transactions. So using transactions, especially in bulk, if they're optional, they speed up the insert. Are you saying, was the second one without transactions, or is the first one a prepared transaction versus a transaction? Okay, without transactions. Okay. In what's I'm sure that MS SQL has the equivalent of a prepared transaction. And that's basically where you say like, okay, do the thing, and then you can checkpoint along the way, and you can also like quit and like exit and then like continue to restart. Apparently that's that's even faster than normal transactions. And the checkpointing is where you can say, okay, we've done 1,000 inserts. Let's go ahead and commit those, but only those, and then continue on with the rest of them. So that way it's like, okay, we'll do a bunch, check those in, and then do a bunch, check those in, do a bunch, check those in. That way, if it crashes in the middle, you don't lose the previous work. You just lose the work that hasn't been checked in. If you're working with thousands and thousands and thousands, that's probably the best way to do it. Okay, describe what a seed is, and then we're gonna create a create tables with a migration, seed the database with, well, seed the database. Okay, we'll do those. Let's play with what seeds are. So I'm going to go ahead and we can delete this temporary folder. We're done with that. And so next is let's seed equals mock data inside of DB. It can be. It can be. I've seen some companies set up seed data for initializing like a good defaults for like production data, especially if you do something like have a SQLite or database or something like that for your customers. You could, okay, here's like your database just for you, and here's like good defaults for it. It's yeah. So it can be mock data. It can be real data. It could be a mixture. I usually like to use it for mock data or test data or something like that. Okay, so let's jump into let's drop that table. Okay, so that's gone. Let's if I remember correctly, we need to install the CLI for this. What is SQLx? I think it's like SQLx CLI, but let's go to SQLx's main page, and they might have a link to this CLI in here. Okay, so there's querying, compile down verification, safety. Oh, wait, do you not have the CLI? Ah, SQL CLI. Okay. SQLx is associated command line utility for managing databases migrations and enabling offline mode with SQLx Query and Friends. Okay, so supports all databases supported by SQLx. Okay, so makes sense. We could potentially install just for Postgres. I'm going to go ahead and install it for everybody, and we're going to see if that just works. I think I have Postgres installed on my system, or at least PSQL. I don't think I have I don't know if I have the drivers for the other databases installed. So let's see if this works. That is a lot of stuff. So in order to create and run migrations and seeds, we'll need the SQLx CLI. We can install it with the command All right, and then you probably have, do you have a link to the crates page? You do not. It's probably this one, right? This goes to, yeah, it goes to SQLx. Needing to build the headers to get diesel working, that brings back bad memories. Oh, I remember that. That was the reason why in the first course that we didn't use diesel for Axum, because there was just too many little things to get working and I didn't want to have to support it. And CORM just worked. So we just did that. If I had found SQLx, probably would have used that one. You can get your code to perform migrations by adding a migrations folder, if you didn't know, rather than using the CLI. Yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of having the code run migrations every time that it like starts up. Mostly because I don't know if I want it to like check to see if it should do migration. If every time like a new version of it does like horizontal scaling. Like if it, okay, we added a new like, Axum server or something, let's go ahead and migrate. I want to kind of do that on my own, like my own schedule. You didn't know about SQLx at the time. Quite a few people told you, but oh, you did tell me. Okay. I forgot. I want to go the ORM route, which is easier. That is true. It's also easier for people who aren't into it. So absolutely. Hero Dev, raiding with a party 44. Welcome, Hero Dev. Welcome, Raiders. How are you doing? Hero Dev, how's your stream? What are we working on today? Wait, is Hero Dev Casey? Oh, from Handmade Hero? I watched that. I watched the beginning of the project a lot. Um, did you all get through the advertisement gauntlet? Hopefully there's only one or not very many. Not so red. Hello, Casey Jr. Wait, so not Casey or Casey? I don't know. Uh well, welcome everybody. How are you all doing today? Not Casey. Okay. How are you all doing today? And what if Hero Dev isn't wasn't able to stay in, what was Hero Dev working on? Um, you're doing good, not so red. Awesome, that's great to hear. A game without an engine? Interesting. I always thought like even if it's not an engine, it usually is like an engine built custom just for that one, right? I guess like in my mind, I usually think of that. So a game without an engine, that'd be interesting to take a look at. We are working on Rust and a course for specifically connecting Rust to a database. In this case, so we're connecting to a Postgres database, and the library is SQLx, which is a library that we basically write plain SQL code for. It's very sort of like very easy to get into, but you do have to know SQL. Oh, an engine for a very specific game, which does make a lot of sense. So it's basically you write an engine specifically for that one game. It runs really well because it's made for that one game. Recurnston, hello. It's hard to pronounce your name without vowels. So I hope that I got that right. How are you doing today? He's building a UI with SDFs with compute shaders. Oh, interesting. I've always wanted to learn shaders, but I've never done shaders. It always just sounds like you can do so much like fun, interesting stuff with them. So we're using SQLx. We've done videos and we've done articles. We're writing sort of like blog style lessons for using SQLx. And right now we're just starting to work on migrations. Demo scene stuff. Oh, you love the demo scenes? I I've made some game type stuff in the past, but I've never made the engine myself. I've always used engines, although I've never used like an engine like Unity before. I use like more bare bones engines, so I guess I'm halfway there, quarter way, an eighth way there. So I've used in Rust GGEZ, and the other one was in Lua. I used Love 2D. I don't know if I can count Bevy because I did the equivalent of a Hello World in it. That's not enough to really like actually make something worthwhile. Unity is sort of loaded right now. Yeah. There's a lot of drama going on with that. Although I've heard it, I haven't heard much from it recently, so it might be quieting down. Godot might be a better idea. Yeah, I would love to experiment with Godot because I heard you can write Rust code with it, or pretty much any code, any language with it that you want to with some plugins. Not so right. You add everything you know about to your resume. Well, I mean that makes sense. I do pair things off my resume that I no longer want to get jobs about because that's the worst feeling. It's like, hey, we would like to talk to you about a job about this technology that you really never want to touch again that you did work in 10 years ago. It's like, okay, no, I don't know that. I swear, I do not know that. Never worked with it. Yep, go look over there. Superkeeper, hello. Nano is also a pretty good engine. It's more geared towards animations, simulations, interactive art. So Nano, I almost looked at Nano. I remember when it first came out, it was touting itself as a very similar to P5, and I've always liked the P5. I've always liked processing style engines because they're so basic and so simple, but they also just let you do a lot too. So it's like this half and half in with things. And GGEZ was based on Love 2D. Love 2D was based on processing. So I, in a way, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to stay with GGEZ because it's like in my mind is like, oh, that's kind of the same thing. You know, the Unity drama was so juicy that it made the Rust community go, maybe we should stay drama free for a bit. Let's see, let's see how long we can hold that record. I feel we do need like the entire little placard of like we've gone X days without some kind of drama in our community. All right. So we just installed the CLI for SQLx. Okay, so we can install with the command. That is, there's so many packages that it needs to install for this. You learned processing in Khan Academy. You really enjoyed it. I don't have the book down here. Maybe have in the other room, but Nature of Code by Daniel Schiffman of the Coding Train. That's a really good book. I really enjoy it. I've never finished it because I keep on like wanting to go through it, and then I streamed it a few times before I realized that I didn't actually request permission to just stream all of his stuff. So I kind of I want to go through it again, but I'll maybe send like a sometime I'll send a tweet out or something to Daniel and see if I can get permission to stream that and do all the exercises in Rust. And because some of them are 3D, we could use Bevy for that. That'd be fun. Was it processing.js or is it p5.js? Because I didn't realize that there was a processing.js also. All right. Okay, so we installed. So we installed SQLx. We installed it with all the database supports. I figured that's better in the course than one of the one-offs because this way, if you're like, hey, I want to use it with this other thing, what do I do? It's like, no, you're ready for it. You're good to go. Just do it. Usage. All commands require that a database URL is provided. This can be done either with the --database URL command line or by setting database URL either in an environment or in a .env file. So it knows how to look in a .env file. So perfect. In the current working directory. Okay, so I think we have a .env file set up. Oh no, we'll have to set that up in here. So let's do another cargo temp. Does it need to be a cargo temp for this? Maybe yes, maybe no. Let's just create a new directory for this. Inside of here, take migrations. So we will touch a .env. And we will say database URL equals Postgres. It is Postgres keyboard cat at localhost 32 SQLx tutorial. Oh no! What was that link? Oh, it's to khanacademy.org. I didn't. So computer programming Illuminati confirmed. Oh, you might want to. So sorry about the link being deleted. I don't have Khan Academy enabled. It's probably okay to enable because Khan Academy is pretty trustworthy. Let me add that in there. Let me add that into spam protection. Okay. You should be able to put in that same exact URL again, and it shouldn't time you out this time. Coding Train Challenges playlist is pretty fun, a bit frustrating for experienced devs, but fun tackling narrowly scoped problems in a head-on graphical way. Yeah, I actually enjoyed watching that series a lot more than watching some of the more machine learning sort of centric stuff. But I think that's more of like I'm not really good at this machine learning things. So most of that was over my head. There we go. So I can copy that link now. All right, you say, let me turn my volume way down. This volume doesn't go to you, so you'll be fine no matter what. Normally, isn't there like normally a little mute thing that you can do in here? I guess not. But so this is one of those like those sort of like live code and sort of like have fun with it. It's like a little game you can play. Oh, that's pretty cool. Seven years ago. Nice. This is pretty cool. You need to click on the eyes, like, Or do you need to program it, right? To like actually make it do its thing? Oh, I see. Yeah. I thought it was a programming game that they were making. No, this is a game that you made, right? Wait, you have a shotgun now? Yep, with a friend in school? Nice. I didn't realize that Khan Academy would let you host stuff like this. I'm not a very good gamer, as you can see. My Twitch reactions are not very good. You didn't expect to be up for after so many years? It's probably fairly cheap for them to keep it hosting, and they could spin it up as it comes in. There we go. I got a score of 56. Your high score is 2,674. How did you get that? Like, you're much better than me, clearly. Oh, you said. Oh no, that was Vampire. Said that. I thought maybe Supercomputer. Oh, you just stack power ups in the end. Okay, so if I last long enough, then you start getting a lot more points. Okay, that makes more sense. Or you just last a lot longer. I probably used the shotgun too early. Okay, creating migrations. So creating one of the migrations. So we can create a database here. Oh, interesting. So um, you can create databases with uh, just normal like create DB. I think if I have Postgres installed, we can do create DB like that is a way to create a database for Postgres. And so it sounds like you can do the same thing with SQLx with SQLx database create. We're not going to do this one. I don't think it's necessary for us to do that. We already have a database. I'm going to go straight to migrations. So we're going to do a SQLx migrate name. So SQLx migrate add, and let's create. So if we do the games, let's do two simple. Should we do two simple tables or three? Let's do two simple tables for this. So I'll do a name and then we could do three. We could do a name, a platform, and then a game platform. So with a simple join. So if I do a games, so create games. Oh, look at that. Note that your compiler won't pick up new migrations if no Rust source files have changed. You can create yeah. I get really hesitant to put migrations in the actual code itself. I guess I'm too old school. I wanna control when it happens. And usually that means I want it to like run a bunch of tests. I want to do other stuff, and then I want it to run it like on dev and then on production and wherever else I want. And if it doesn't run them on production because the Rust source files haven't changed, then that doesn't sound like well, that wouldn't work. All right, so what do we have here? We have migrations. Oh, so it created a migrations folder inside of where we were. And then we have, oh, it's just simple SQL files. Nice. Okay, so that. Migrations. So we could do what are migrations. We can come back to this again later, and then this one is going to be creating a migration. Creating a migration. This is run. Okay, so to create a migration, run the command SQLx migrate add, and then migration name. Maybe for this, let's do something like scenario. Let's create a three table system, like a 3-table database, which will store our games. We'll store our games and where we own them. This will have the following layouts. Okay, so the following tables. So we'll have 2, 3, 4. So we'll have. Is there an ordering requirement? Other systems are based on file name. It looks like this has the date in front of it. So 2023, 10/03, and then that hopefully should be based upon like Unix timestamp or something else to be in order of what I created. So already I like this way more than CORMs, which was just, I mean, I've got to say that the CORM's migration system is the worst that I've ever seen, because it didn't use any like ordering system for the files. You have to order it in code, which is not cool. Okay, so let's do tables. We want games. Games. Is there in Markdown tables? Can you create a title for the table? I don't think so, right? Primary key. We want then. So we want the ID. Wait, it's ID name type. And then we'll have like required, something like that. So this will be, let's, nope, nope, search that, go, nope, that, go down, there. Okay, so we'll have, you're the primary key, this will be ID, the type will be int, and required is true. Then we'll have not the primary key, we'll have the name. This could be varchar 255. Required is true. And then last, no, then no others. We could have that being just really simple. We could have, so we have games, and we can have platforms. Okay, so we'll have star ID int true. We'll have not, so we'll have the name of the platform. This could be a varchar 255 true. And then finally we'll have one more. One more, which is going to be after platforms, it'll be game platform. So then you will be. So this is where I might not want to do the int. I probably want to do a combination of the two. So I probably want to say, okay, your primary key, it's not the ID. You're going to be instead the game ID. You're an int and you're required. And then you can also be a primary key. And you'll be a platform ID. And you will also be an int. Int. And you're also true. And so this will be a combination primary key. Okay, so for you, we'll search for that and align. Okay. Nope. Search for that and replace you with nope. Replace with that. I screwed that one up, but besides it was fine. I have to be so focused on those keyboard commands. I keep on like doing them in the wrong order in my mind. Let's see. The last part looks like GMT hour minute second. Oh, it could be 21:33. Was that 12 minutes ago or 11 minutes ago? Because if it was, then yes, that would work out. 33 would be the minutes. We'll have to go back and I'm probably not going to go back and look at that to verify it. All right, so this is what we want to create. All right. So this will allow us to have a simple example to work with that also utilizes a join table with a what is it called when your primary key is across two columns? Oh, I forget exactly what that's called. Let's go look it up. Primary key, two columns. A joint key. Oh, it's a joint key. Would I search for that under joint key? So first of all, in this, nope, there's no joint. Joint key. Nope, unfortunately not. Also, non-bread. Non-bread, hello. How are you doing today? Unnested key, not an array of keys. Okay, let's do database definition joint key. Is that joined key? Oh, could it be a composite key? So, oh, come on. No need to do that. There's no joint. A composite key is across two columns. So is a candidate key? Oh, a candidate key is what? Sounds to me like a composite key in SQL can be defined as a combination of multiple columns, and these columns are used to identify all the roles that are involved uniquely. That's what I want to do. A composite key. Okay. So this allows us to have a simple example to work with that also utilizes a joint table with a composite primary key. Primary key to it feels right, doesn't it? A primary key. This kind of key allows us to enforce a unique game per platform without having to I guess like it allows us to have like a unique game per platform. Because otherwise it's kind of like hard to tell the database to enforce like, okay, you can have as many game IDs as you want. Also, you can have as many platforms that are the same as each other as you want, but there can only be one combination of a game ID and a platform ID. Like only allow that combination once. When over one column or field in a table are combined to achieve the task of uniquely identifying row values, then that composite key can be either a primary or a candidate key of that table. Okay, that makes sense. And we're going to make that a primary key because, well, it's like, well, it is the primary thing. I've done it as a primary key before, so I know that it's possible. Let's also add in one more of these things here. So I want to say required and then unique. Nope, that. Okay, so I want you to be ID. This is true. The name will have that's also a true. Like you cannot be duplicated. Unique. ID, so that's true. So put you as true as well. Then unique. Okay, and so this is going to be false. False. A new game per platform. That's not correct. I didn't. That's not written out. To enforce that we don't repeat the same game for the same platform multiple times. That's, I think, more correct. Question, why not make the field name in games game ID like you have in game platform? It would make things easier to understand for someone who comes into the data later and needs to figure out what's going on. Why not make the field name in games game ID? Oh, instead of ID, do something like this be name ID. We could do that. Name ID. Oh wait, no, this would be game ID. Name ID would be completely useless, wouldn't it? Okay. No. Game ID. Yeah, I've actually not done that very much. Usually I just use generic IDs. But I don't have a problem with that. I think that could work. I'm curious, how many of you use this pattern? Where it's like the name of the table ID instead of just ID. Oh, I almost got it. Okay, I did kind of get it. A little fly thing landed on my nose. You do, Dottie. Personally, you have an ID in each table, including the game platform. Yeah, I used to do that a lot. Have an ID in like this platform here too. But then I realized that it's useless. Like I never used it, and so therefore, if it's never going to be used, why have it? And so I decided to like, okay, let me just learn how to enforce the uniqueness with a primary key across both of them. And then I felt like that made more sense to me. And then, okay, you do this. Okay, good. I just want to make sure that it's like a common enough that at least one of us here is using it, which means that probably a lot more people are using that too. I've also seen this in used in other examples before. So that works out. So search that. Nope. Search that. Okay. There we go. It makes creating indexes easier than you had to. That's true. It's one of those things no one agrees on. I mean, welcome to programming, right? Like that's how many of us will actually ever truly agree on everything or even like some things. You don't do SQL, but when the type system is too loose to identify these kind of valid pairings and you enforce this type of naming rigorously. That makes a lot of sense too. Also, like it does make sense. Like, oh, I type ID, and if I'm using something like SQLace, Postico, SQL Workbench, something like that, if I just type in ID, it'll find like every table. So yeah, this makes sense. Let's run with it. So we'll have our primary key in here. This will be fine. This will allow us to have a simple. Okay, so we don't repeat the same game for the same platform multiple times. Okay, so we're gonna create the migration for games. So add migration script here. So I think it's gonna be create table games. We want, so then we can just pay attention to what this is. So it's going to be game ID is a primary key serial and I don't have to put a required or unique on this because it's automatically going to do that for me. So I think that's all I need to do for this. And I believe it automatically creates a index for any of the primary keys too. This is kind of sad that Helix can't do the colors across 2 words. That's too bad. It got serial though. And then we'll have name, which you will be a varchar. Oh wait, no, yep. And wait, do I need to do serial first? That's what it was. I need to do type first. Okay, so it's it is name the column, type, constraints. So name the column, type, varchar 255, constraints. We're gonna have required, not null, and unique. Is it unique or is it distinct? Either way, it doesn't give me any. Okay, unique. Okay, so we do that. You're fine, and then we're good to go. So that if I run this, this should create this migration. So let's quit out of here, and we'll do a. Let me just see if I can guess what this is going to be. SQLx migrate up. Oh, it's not up. It's run. It's run and revert. We have to go back down here. Migrate, create games. So then if I Docker go into here, we should have DS. Okay, so we created games. Wait, that games game? Is it DS? Is it DT? It's DT. That's what it is. It's then DS games. We have so we have game ID, integer, not null, next val. Okay, so that name, character variant. Okay, so we're good to go there, and we can just table games. And nothing in there. Wait a second. Oh, I still have that test. Drop table test. We don't need that anymore. Table games. I guess if there's nothing there, it just gives me nothing. Okay, fine. I don't like how wide that is. Let's run this again. I thought it would give me like a little title or something else for it. So we have game ID, integer, not null. Okay, so I mean that makes sense. That's all working. Let's exit out and let's what did I oh no, I quit out of Zellage. Okay, well that just quit out of everything. Did I save my work in Helix? Did I do like Control D or did it crash? I must have like control. Oh, was I in a pane or a tab or something and I had to quit? That's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Okay, well, I think I have haven't lost anything here. But I am out of time. It's 4 o'clock and I need to go spend some family time. That's why today is till 4 p.m. for my schedule, and then the rest of the days are up until 5. So let's see. Is there anybody who is streaming right now? Seam Griffin streaming. We've rated Seam Griffin a few times. Purple If is streaming on let's see, Senior Dev working on Gumroad and Flex Isle, which I've heard of those before, but I don't remember what they are. Working with TypeScript and web development. Let's go ahead and raid Purple If. You go in and make sure that they are not about to quit out. Also, let me go through the advertisement really quickly. Okay. Let me see. Awesome. All right, she's about to take a break. So let's go ahead and raid during a break time. So I probably won't be there by the time she gets back, but that'll be fine. So we'll say raid Purple If. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out today. Let me put on the ending screen. This is my schedule for the rest of the week. I'll be back online at 7 a.m. every weekday this week, and then I'll be on for the afternoon streams tomorrow and Friday. So with that, have a great rest of your days, and I will see you next time. Bye.